like to introduce Dilshaan. He was in our summer session last year, made a real impression on Colin. When I told Colin that Dilshaan is a high school student, he refused to believe me, but he is. Dilshaan came to notice not just because of his technical skills. Many people in his team, when we were asking for feedback, they mentioned the fact that Dilshaan helped them out and he was always there, kind of making progress together. So even, I'm sure, Dilshaan, you also learned from your teammates, but definitely your teammates, I think at least 6 people gave you a really strong thumbs up for the amount of collaboration that you promoted in your team. So with that, Dilshaan, if you'd like to talk a little bit more about the AI code assistants before we jump into the next step.
Okay, so I have a small presentation, just kind of going over what AI code assistants are and like the most popular ones there is. So yeah, so an AI coding assistant is a software tool that uses artificial intelligence to support developers in writing code more efficiently and accurately, enabling them to write code faster and with greater precision. Some popular ones are ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, Tab 9, Amazon Code Whisperer, and all these have their benefits and kind of drawbacks. So comparing the 4 major ones, there's GitHub Copilot. It's free for students, has easy integration with IDEs, and is soon to be connected with ChatGPT. Another one is ChatGPT itself. It's free for everyone and has clear explanations of code, which makes it really powerful. There's not really direct integration right now with IDEs, and they're probably going to do that through GitHub Copilot. Some other ones include Tab 9, and it's free with limitations, and has easy integration with IDEs. And finally, Amazon Code Whisperer. It's free for everyone, but it's mainly focused on Amazon-related development. However, it can do general things as well. And for now, like the one that I use the most is GitHub Copilot. It's free for students, so it's a really powerful tool which helps you write code and get stuff done faster. And I'm just going to do a quick demo of how it works. The things I'm going to focus on is web scraping and creating visualizations of data. But it can do more than that. It can develop machine learning models, create user interfaces, and pretty much anything you can think of. Just going to share my screen again. So I'm just going to go through a quick demo. So let me go back to this, sorry, but the website I'm trying to scrape right now is Codes to Scrape. So this is a website which anyone's allowed to scrape. Is actually developed to be a place where beginners can learn how to web scrape and use tools such as Selenium, Request, a Beautiful Soup. And I'm just going to show a quick demo on how to do that using a coding assistant, and makes it much faster. Okay, so I have a basic project here. It's in Dataspell. Dataspell is like PyCharm, which I know many have probably used before, but it's just a combination of kind of, it gives greater integration with kind of Jupyter notebooks. So I have like a basic outline of a project. I have a data folder where I'm going to store data, which I collect from the website. I have a scraper file, which I'm just going to write the code to actually get the data. And I have a visualization notebook, which I have a basic structure set up as well. So for basic processing, and a task, which I have in here for Copilot. So what I usually start off with when I'm using a coding assistant is just like a quick introduction to what I want the project to do. So do a scrape, did I click the URL? Yeah. And save the data in a CSV file. So it already predicted what my next sentence is going to be, or my next few lines of, or my next few words. And it starts, and what it also does is after it sees the word scrape and the website link I gave it, it can start importing stuff for me and writing code. So as over here, it says import requests, and request is a library which allows us to web scrape. So, and then it also recommends Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup being a library which can parse HTML code and extract text. It also gives other suggestions, but a lot of these times, these suggestions are kind of optional and they aren't always 100% correct. So import CSV, I kind of don't want to do that because I have my own way of kind of doing it. I use Pandas, which is a data science library. And yeah, so now that we have all the imports done, we can go towards actually creating the scraper class. So again, this is just creating a class, and in this class is going to be code to scrape the website, to retrieve the data and save it to a CSV file in my data folder. And as soon as I set it up, as soon as I set the class and I put the initialization, it gave me an autocomplete of what other variables I could set up. So self.url, self.page, self.data. And I'm not going to use all of these, or I can rename them as well. So I can have self.currentpage, and it can adapt to that and generate different code based on what I changed. It gives me also self.headers, which I don't need either. Something I will need though is like self.pages needed. Let's say you want 10 pages, because the way the website's built is that it has a URL, the page it's on, and if you click on the next page, it gives you more pages or more quotes, which you can go to, and it goes on for a pretty long time. So what we want to do is extract the text, the tags, and the author with the help of Copilot. So I tabbed out, and now it's giving me the suggestion to get data. So it's identifying what I need to do next. And I'm going to do this by, how should we do this one? So it gave me this, which I'm not going to follow exactly because I feel like there's a better way to do this. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to, so what I'm going to do is I forgot to set up a variable actually, that's why I'm kind of confused. So I'm also going to set up a variable called self.soup, and I'm going to make it equal to none. And self.soup, I'm going to use it later for extracting text from the page, but for now, she's set up as none. So what we can do is we can get the HTML data from the page using the autocomplete which Copilot has provided. So what I essentially did was it gave me an autocomplete of the current page and the base URL link. It should work. And self.soup is going to contain all the data we have inside, all the HTML we have on that specific page. Then you can go further and we can create a new variable called quote data. And what quote data is going to do is it's going to get all these, all the divs with information about the quote. So if you actually inspect element and go to each element, it's stored inside of a div. And in these divs, it contains data about what the quote actually says, the author name, and also the tags. So yeah, div class tags, and has the different tags which there are related to it. So we can set that up by quote data self. So we could retrieve, I need to go back to here. So it actually already gave me a suggestion. It's saying self.soup find all, and it finds all the divs which have a class related to it called quotes. And this will, so what that's going to contain, it's going to have all my divs in HTML form. And you'll actually run that properly. So as you can see, if you go to the top of this page, the world as we know is created in the process of our thinking. It's the same thing over here. And you can go through this code and find all the different texts stored in the HTML code. So now we want to go through all this and find this. We want to be able to store the text, the author, and the tags. So for quote and quote data, so for every quote we have stored in here, we want to essentially do what it suggested. So what this is doing is it's getting the quote, it's finding that, storing it with a key of quote. So it's in a list, it's adding a dictionary with different keys of the quote, the author, and the tags. So for every quote, there's going to be a list element, which is going to be a dictionary. And the dictionary, there's going to be a quote, which is related to the key is going to be the quote, and the text related is going to be right next to it, essentially. But one mistake which you might see, so this is the thing about AI code assistance. There's not always 100% accurate. And if I print this out, you're going to see a small error with how it works. Ooh, that is not defined. Self-dot. So as you can see, it has your first quote. The world is as we have created as a process for our thinking. It has that done correctly. It has the author done correctly, but messed up getting the tags. It has special characters in here, which won't look good in an actual CSV file. So we can try fixing this. I have to go back to here to see. So all our tags are actually kind of set up as links. So what you could do is that you could find every element which is a link, make sure its class is a tag, and let's just see what that does. Oh, give me none. What did I do wrong? Another way to do it would be through a list comprehension. So quotes.find class tags. We have that. So and then you find it's actually correct here. So you can find all the so every div we have of tags, we can find all the links and get the class. So what would this print out? Yeah, so now we have a semi-functioning way of getting all the links or of getting all the tags. So one major issue here is that it's actually still an HTML code, which we need to fix. And we can do this through list comprehension. We can just convert simply to text. As you can see, it kind of sets it up in a proper way. So it has in a list, and it has them all stored. So it was incorrect at first, but when I got more context, I was able to find a way to extract them in a proper fashion. So we have the code for getting all the quotes on a specific page, but something else we need to do is be able to get multiple pages. So let's say we don't want just simply 10 quotes. What if we want like 100 or maybe 50? In that case, we're going to need to set up a way to get to the next page. So you can set up a function called to get the next page. And what this is going to do, it's going to check first if the current page is not equal to the number of pages needed. And if it isn't, then we set the current page plus equal 1 and get the data. We go through the process of getting data again. At least that's what's suggested. Or something you could actually do is, this might work. And we can, so the way that is suggesting was more everything was stored in the class. To have a little more control over it, you could set it up so that you can control it by using functions of the actual class. This should work, except this is unlimited. Finally, we need a way to save the data. So since I imported pandas, it's able to pick up on the fact that I imported this library and we can store the data as data.csv and specify its file path. Finally, scraper.get data. So this is going to see if we need another page as over here. So if current page not equal to number of pages needed, then you go to the next page and return true, which keeps the loop going. And that gets the data on this page and goes back, checks this condition and gets the data on that page, goes to the next page, make sure that we didn't collect too many pages or don't have enough. If you don't have enough data, it's going to go to the next page and collect more. So that's how it works. Let's just test for the first time. So I've created the file and it's empty for some reason.
Dilshaan, just in the interest of time, let's move on. I'm sure like now everyone has some idea about how AI code assistants work. You saw the way the autocomplete was doing. It's like people who are into coding, you will appreciate the power of this. Like you don't need to know each and every syntax detail and stuff. You can read, and it's not just about syntax, as you saw when Dilshaan was doing the demo. It is filling out entire pieces of code for you. I'm not a coder myself, so I haven't used it the way Dilshaan has. I have used ChatGPT, and over there, it's been like I want to do some code, and it literally is able to just tell me what that code snippet should be. And Dilshaan, has been a request that they want to see the code that you were doing from the demo. So
Okay.
we will put it in. Along with the recording, we'll put the demo. And I'm also really happy, Dilshaan, that you chose the web scraper one, because as part of this project, we will be doing the user service, but we will also be doing web scraping. We need a lot of data in order to do the steps that Colin was mentioning. So in addition to the user service, we'll also be web scraping forums, places where we can get more feedback about what these code assistants are.